Ooh, what's good, Commanders fans? Just wanted to do my weekly studs and duds. I do not have PFF numbers right now. I usually do it when I have the PFF numbers, but I don't have them right now. So I'm just gonna go off of, whose stock I thought went up and whose stock went down after last night's game. And I really do wish they had the rule where it was they cut down from 93 or is it 90 the 90 man roster down to 75, then down to like 60, and then I think no, it's not 60, I can't remember, but you guys understand what I'm saying when they cut it down like 10 people each week, and then that last game they had like 70 people on the roster or something like that, and then it goes to 53 after the final game because they're just guys on the team right now like Chris Moore. They just need to respectfully let him go. I feel like he's taking up reps and taking up a roster spot, but at the same time, we kind of need him. We just need a body out there, because of the Terry McLaurin situation. But we still have Big Play Tay, we have Ja'Cory Brooks, and Michael Gallup, like KJ Osborne. You may just want to cut ties with him too and let him walk, and maybe he can latch on somewhere else, possibly. That's just what I would do after last night. I would cut some guys. I really would. And you had no choice because that was the rule. But after last night, it's like, there's some guys that definitely need to be relieved of their duties. I do think Harlan Vidgers is one of them. And he's a UDFA, so maybe you want to keep him in the building as a practice squad guy. But the tackling performance and the way Antonio Gibson ran over him, it's just inexcusable. It really was. And then he didn't want to tackle after that. He just got scared. He was in fear. He was in fear of his life. So that was tough to watch. Special teams was terrible, like I talked about last night. Josh Dobbs running for a touchdown where they parted the Red Sea. He was running around like it was backyard football. Drake May running for a touchdown that was where the Red Sea was parted as well. And that one, just like it was in the joint practice. So there really wasn't much good to see last night. And yes, I will admit the coaches did not coach well. I know it was a preseason game, but they didn't coach well. The players didn't play well. It was a bunch of penalties. They were poorly coached in that game. They were. But Dan Quinn was a dog last year. He had a heck of a performance last year as a coach. Joe Witt Jr. was up and down. The defense, was the worst part of the team by far. Our offense was way, 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 way ahead of our defense. And the reason why we won games is because of our quarterback and the offense. And him carrying the offense at times, which is just a lot on a rookie quarterback's shoulders, which I just don't want to see happen again this year. That's why we brought on Laramie Tunsil, Debo, and Terry's supposed to be back again, and Noah Brown healthy, and we drafted another running back to help him out with the run game. But it's just special teams, man. They were a dud. Larry Izzo was a dud. Tackling was a dud. All of that was a dud. So stock down for special teams and Larry Izzo after last night. Matt Gay, stock down. Don't want to overreact over one missed kick, but when somebody else on the other team makes a 57-yarder and you miss a 49-yard kick and you're the highest, you have the most fully guaranteed one-year contract in the history of the NFL for a kicker, like that's just inexcusable. Anything under 50, you got to make it. You just have to, because there's no competition. They didn't bring in any competition. He's the only kicker at practice. That's it. He's the only kicker at practice. That's it. I know Cliff has to be vanilla, so I'm not going to talk about his play calling. I didn't like the screen pass on 3rd and 10. I talked about that yesterday. Some of that was on Sam Hartman. And I'm not going to call Sam Hartman a dud. I'm not, because Chris Moore and I'll just get them both out of the way. I already talked about them being duds anyway, in a sense, saying they both should be released. Chris Moore and KJ Osborne, they were duds, but they dropped passes. They dropped passes that would have helped Sam I Am out, and Sam I Am would have had a better game. Like his statistics would have looked better. He would have had a touchdown instead of 0 touchdowns and 1 pick. So they really didn't do him any favors, So I'm not going to sit up and just make excuses for Sam Hartman, but his receivers didn't help him out. And what I said on my 53-man roster video last week, a lot of people were like, oh, we should keep 3 quarterbacks. I'm like, no, there's no need to keep 3. There's no need to keep 3. None of these guys are standing out and showing that they should be. There's only one game, but Josh Johnson and Sam, they're going to get limited snaps next week anyway because Jaden's going to play, most likely. Jaden's going to play a couple snaps. They're going to play a lot of snaps, but they're not going to get as many snaps as they got yesterday because Jaden's going to play probably like a quarter or a couple series. But they will play in that third game. But personally, like I said, I just don't think it's necessary to keep three quarterbacks. You have Jaden, you have a franchise guy, and then you have a backup in Marcus Mariota. If you want to put Sam Hartman on the practice squad, sure. If Josh Johnson gets through waivers, which he may not, because he is a name, like people know who he is because he's been in the league for 18, 19 years. So a team may be like, hey, let's just pick him up and poach him and take him away because he's available. And we know that he's a reliable guy, he's a character guy, and he's been a decent backup and a decent backup journeyman in the league. And he's probably been in our building before, so we probably have some familiarity with Josh Johnson. So, but like I said, I don't think it's necessary to keep three quarterbacks at all. It's really not necessary. Excuse me. So the two duds, I said Chris Moore. Oh, and then Bill Merritt, real quick. So the update on him is that it was just a shoulder injury, but he's fine, so he should be good to go next week. Luke McCaffrey had an illness. I think some people were a little bit confused about that. I don't think he re-entered the game, but he had an illness. So, I'm not going to call him a dud, and it's not his fault, but it is a disappointment, man. It's like, these are the games where it's like he's probably going to get the most opportunities to show what he can do. And just to build some confidence before the season starts. And I just want to see him build some confidence the next two games. Can he get a couple catches? Can he get 2 or 3 catches? Move the chains, get a first down, something. Like, can he get a big play? Just to get some confidence to start the season off and before the season starts. So that's just what I wanted to see from Luke. Cliff should have had more targets for Jalen Lane. Some people think that they're hiding him. I don't know if that's the case necessarily, but he should have got more targets. Let's see here. So Trey Amos was a stud. Had a nice pass breakup against Mac Hollins. Had a nice tackle behind the line of scrimmage, so he looked the part. I thought he played really, really well for the limited time that he played. He's going to get a tough test against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins next week because Joe Burrow is going to play, and those guys are going to play. Their starters are going to play. Trey Amos was a stud. Bill was a stud. 7 carries for 24 yards, had a catch for 8 yards, and then he converted on that 3rd and 1. I really like that a lot. That was a tough play. He broke some tackles, and he showed some swag. He was turning up after the first down run, so I like that, showing some energy, turning the team up. And we just needed energy. We didn't have a lot of energy last night. We just didn't. We were slow and lethargic. The first play of the game, we gave up a 100-yard kick return to the guy that I really wanted at pick 29 and traded on Henderson. But I do like Josh Conley. I thought he played well last night. 21 snaps. So like I said, when we get the PFF grades, we can go over that a little bit more and see how they graded him. Johnny Newton, the big fella, strip sack. I love that with a passion. That was a heck of a play by him. It wasn't necessarily a strip sack, but he forced a fumble. And ball is life. We had a takeaway, and that was squandered away by Matt Gay, unfortunately. So Ja'Cory Brooks stock up. He led the receiving core and receiving yards with 59. He caught all of his targets, which is great because he did have some drops throughout practice and training camp. He had a drop in joint practice as well. But he had some wiggle to him. He broke a tackle. I like that. Big play Tay. Made a couple nice catches. Just hanging on to the football is huge for this team, for this receiving core. And that's just where we're at right now. Demetric Felton played well, led the team with 42 rushing yards. He broke a couple tackles, had a 28-yard run where he was just rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Got us into the red zone, so I like that. Jacoby Jones stayed about even. He did have a touchdown catch, but he did have a drop that led to an interception. And let me see who else I have for my studs and duds. Jeremy Reeves, I thought he played well. He was flying around. Oh, Tyler Owens missed too many tackles. He had a missed tackle on Travion Henderson in the beginning of the game where Travion Henderson broke the tackle, and then he kind of ran over Percy Butler. So Tyler Owens has to wrap that up, man. Like, he's been playing with the ones. You got to tackle. You got to make plays. You got to finish plays. Dom Hampton, to me, a dud. Was beating coverage a couple times. Thought he struggled last night. Jeremy Reeves, I thought he tried. Thought he played with some effort, so I did like that. He did have that penalty, which was awful, though. That was a terrible, terrible call. Andre Jones, I thought he did a good job pass rushing. I think his PFF number is going to be pretty high when they come up with the numbers. He did have a pass bat down, so I did like that. Carlin Richards, talked about him. Cole Turner, indifferent. Ben Sinnott, indifferent. Didn't do much. Had 1 catch. And I think that's about it. I did see some people on social media crashing out about last night and just complaining, which is normal for preseason. That's just what happens. It was the second team, guys. It was the second team. The Patriots played their starters, but even regardless, they just didn't play good football. Like I said, I did think they were poorly coached last night. I do. Even for a preseason game, I did think they were poorly coached. I just think they were ill prepared. The penalties were ridiculous. Special teams was ridiculous. The tackling was ridiculous. It was a bad showing. And Terry McLaurin is needed. I think he was a stud last night too, because the receivers dropping all those passes basically just showed that we needed him super. We need him super bad. 13 penalties last night. It's just ridiculous. It's inexcusable. It really is. That's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. Should not be happening. Should not be happening. Jeremy McNichols played well too. He had a touchdown run. Didn't do much, but with the opportunities he had, I thought he played well. And yeah, that's all I got. So we'll just erase this from our memory and move on to the next game. The next game's not until Monday, but they do have practice on Sunday. I don't know if we're gonna get live updates like we've been getting, because I know typically they don't really do that much. Once you get into like more practices and stuff like that. And then it's inexcusable the defense let number 86 just go crazy. Like Afton Chisholm, like I gotta look this guy up because he looked good yesterday. They made him look really good. Afton Chisholm. And I know it's the second string, but I do like, this is the thing about the rush defense. This is the biggest thing. This is the rush defense is going to be the biggest X factor in our season. Really, it's going to be the run defense and Marshawn Lattimore being healthy. And I know it was just the second string, but still, it did look reminiscent of last year's rush defense. How many rushing yards did we give up last night? We gave up 153 rushing yards last night, which is not crazy. They had 31 carries for 153. But there still were some runs where they just looked like they were overpowering us. Antonio Gibson had a couple of decent runs. He had one or two. Ramondre Stevenson had a solid run for 13 yards. Lan Larison had a couple good runs. Travion Henderson had an 18-yard run. So there were some times where it was like, hey, like this kind of looks a little reminiscent of last year's rush defense. So that's all I'll say about the rush defense. But like I said, Kinlaw wasn't out. He was not out there. Payne was not out there. Dorrance, Vaughn, all our starters were not out there. They weren't. So no need to overreact. Eddie Goldman, I do want to see his PFF grade and how he graded, because I think he kind of got beat up a little bit in the interior. I gotta watch that again. Kane Madrano, I thought he was all over the place, so I thought he was indifferent. I'm not gonna say he was a stud or a dud or either, but I thought he was flying around and trying. I do want to see some more from Robert McDaniel. Bobby Price should have caught the interception, but he dropped it. You gotta like nice things, man. Gotta like nice things. Bobby Hart had a penalty, so he's got to clean that up. Jalen Lane had a tackle on special teams. Kaz Allen was pretty indifferent in special teams with running anything back. I didn't see much wiggle or make anybody miss, which is what he's here for. So I didn't see any of that from Casimir Allen. But yeah, that's really TJM. I do want to see some more TJM though. I do. I want to see some more TJM. So those are the studs and duds. Like I said, I actually thought Sam Hartman had some good moments. I thought he had some good moments. I really do. I thought he had some good moments. Everybody's ragging on him and saying he's trash and he should just be a ball boy and all this stuff. And that may be true. But I thought he played better than what people are saying. I'll say that. There's 3 drops that should have been had. He should have had at least 1 touchdown pass last night too. So, all right, guys, as always, Health Commanders. Peace.